Welcome to another episode of the Pixelated Porch Podcast. You are joined by your friendly nerd gamers Ricky, Chris, and myself, Michael. And today on the porch, we are talking about our favorite and most hated movies and TV shows. First, we are going to catch up and see what we have been doing this week. Chris?
Well, I have not been up to very much this week. I'm still waiting for my mini K truck to be delivered. Some nonsense happened there where the delivery company thinks that they don't have to deliver it on the agreed day, and that's going to suck because I'm going to be on the other side of the country when they're trying to deliver my truck. So that's fun.
But it is finalized, though.
We own the truck now. It is on the back of somebody's truck somewhere in this country. Who knows where? Eventually, it will make it to my doorstep, hopefully.
Wait, it's already in the United States already, though?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I thought it was still overseas, and it was paid for, and it still had to get on a boat and everything.
No, did all that already, and now it's on the way here. It doesn't take too long once you move forward, unless you're buying some kind of, I guess, some special nonsense.
How fast are these ships going?
Goddamn. Yeah.
They just put it on just one K truck on the back of a speedboat. Go!
I mean, so these trucks aren't anything really all that special. They're used pretty frequently in Japan as lots of different uses, I guess, like government uses and like farm uses and stuff. So I think there's probably some already in the States that are just waiting, and then they refill their supply maybe. And they all seem to be like the same style, the same engine type, and then the same color. So yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot of specialty when it comes to these trucks. So
yeah, actually, now I'm thinking about it, did they go from the east and come over to the west, like California, and then go all the way down the Panama Canal and then come back up and deliver it to Georgia? Or did they go down below Africa and then come up that way?
That's a really good question. I mean, because it came through Savannah, Georgia, since we're on the East Coast. So yeah, I don't know.
That'd be a cool tracker to look up.
Might be a worthwhile question to ask.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Like Indiana Jones style. Follow it around the globe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Ricky?
My week, Ni no Kuni and the Wrath of the White Witch. Dude, I'm loving Ni no Kuni, man. It is so fun. So at first, the game was kind of slow to start. A lot of tutorials, a lot of reading. But it was kind of funny, though, because every single time I was like, good God, how much more of this stuff do I have to read to learn how to do these battles and whatnot? It's every single time I was doing that, the game would come back and be like, these things are kind of annoying, so let's go ahead and just get into it. Every single time. They must have done a whole bunch of play tests or something, because it's
So this game makes you read?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a JRPG, of course.
Yeah,
it does.
It's a JRPG. It's kind of... sometimes they talk. Sometimes it's... 3D animation and there's full voice acting, and then sometimes it's just reading text, old school Pokemon type stuff.
Oh, reading text. Okay, you're reading text as
like
back in Pokemon,
voice bubbles, speech bubbles.
Oh, we want to fight, and it's a voice bubble. Okay,
so,
all right, okay.
So are you playing? I know we talked about English dub and sub and stuff. Is it a subbed game or is it dubbed?
So I'm actually playing it in English. I was looking through the options, and there is a Japanese version that you can do as well. But I opted for English just because I'm. It's I don't know. I was probably about 15 hours into the game, before I actually realized that was a thing. So I'm like, well, I kind of like it because. I don't know. There's a wide range of very stylized voices, so I've kind of gotten used to it now. So, yeah. But there's one guy who he's Scottish. He's got a super Scottish accent in it. So it's funny.
In it.
In it. That's British right there, though. In it.
Every sentence he says that. Mr. Drippy is his name, and he's a fairy.
Drippy.
Mr. Drippy.
So
that just sounds so gross.
I guess one of the things that really got me interested in the game in the first place was the art style, because I was looking at the case and I was like, dude, this looks straight up like Studio Ghibli, and then of course come to find out that it was. And then I was kind of disappointed because there is animation from Ghibli in there, and it looks straight up like a Ghibli movie, but those animations in there are few and far between. I'm probably about 20 to 25 hours into the game already, and maybe 10 minutes of that has been actual like Ghibli animation, and they're very short as well, which is.
So where did the budget go?
I don't know. It's a great looking game. Like I said, I still love the art style. I'm just kind of bummed that the actual animation for Ghibli itself isn't super prominent. Yeah. So, but it looks great. Like when you're in the game itself, like your characters are kind of almost have like a cartoony, almost cell shaded look to them, and the world itself almost looks like it's a painting, like a water painting kind of. So,
all right.
But it's very much a traditional JRPG. You have the open world, and you kind of go between different hub worlds with the Egyptian place, the volcano, the ice place, the islands, all the standard stuff from JRPG. The combat is pretty interesting. I like it, but I've also got some gripes with it as well. Some of the button mapping is really weird. Like you have to actually, it's semi turn based, but it's also semi real time. There's some Pokemon aspects in there, but I mean, my biggest gripe is you have to move your character with the left stick while you're in battle. But then in order to like select spells or attacks, you have to use the D-pad. So I'm like having to use the left stick, and then either have to stop moving and then use the D-pad to select stuff, and then of course I'm getting like pelted in the face by fireballs and whatnot. Or I have to keep my left hand on the thumbstick and then swing my right thumb over and then use the D-pad that way while I'm still moving around, which is kind of weird, but I guess you kind of get used to it.
So what I'm hearing is Resident Evil 4 zombies coming after you. Stop, aim, fire, run.
Correct. But like I said, there is a little life hack. As long as you have two thumbs, you can swing it over and then use the D-pad with your right thumb and still move around. It's kind of weird.
Sounds like a third thumb would be pretty beneficial, Ricky.
Right. Yeah, and there's zero options to change it, which is great. But other than that, I'm having a good time. It's just a little lighthearted adventure. It's kind of it's a little cheesy at some parts, but I don't know. I like it. It's got a good charm to it. So yeah, I'm having a blast with it. Like I said, I'm like 25 hours into it just this week alone. So I'm having a blast with it. Super fun.
Yep. Well, for me this week, I've been playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey yet again, but I found a really cool trick. It's very similar to GTA, just getting your stars. If you just go and kill a whole bunch of civilians and you just steal a whole bunch of things, you get your mercenary bar. You get like Spartan helmets for your mercenary bar, and the higher that is, the more frequent mercenaries are going to come after you and try to kill you and then get the reward, or that bounty that's on your head. But one thing I found out is, since I'm relying, really heavily on my archery in this game, I've got stun arrows. And so I create a whole bunch of havoc in a town, and the mercenaries comes to me, and I climb up on a building, and I shoot an arrow at them, and then they climb up on the building with me, and then I kick them off the building. And not all the time will they die, so their health is really, really low, and when their health is really, really low, I shoot them with a stun arrow. And when you shoot them with a stun arrow, then you can recruit them to your ship. And you have different classes of people. You can have common people, rare people, epic people, and legendary people. And some of the mercenaries and some of the well-known people that you have to kill or assassinate, if you just knock them out or stun them and you recruit them, they're legendary people on your boat, so that you get special perks for your boat. So I'm only level 16, maybe 17 now, and I've got 3 legendary captains on my boat and 1 epic out of the 4 that you can have. And I've got 1 billion epic. The legendaries are harder to get, but I've been doing that. So instead of killing all the mercenaries that come hunt me down, I just shoot them and stun them and recruit them to my boat. And
so now you are a pirate?
No, not really. So you have to, you are literally in the Mediterranean Sea area. Yeah. All right. And so in order to get from, say, Italy down to Africa or wherever else you're trying to get to, in that area, you have to do it by boat. So you had to buy a boat. So you get a triame.
So it's kind of like a hub world.
Kind of good.
Oceans.
Yeah. Okay. So when you dock your boat, you can go on the, on the lands and do your eagle vision type of stuff, or eagle, synchronization and see the world, and then you have to like complete those areas. But then when you get on the water, there's also like water battles, and then there are pirates, and then you have the Athenians, and then you have the Greeks, and you have like other ships that will try to attack you and ram you. So it's like the trieme, if I'm saying it right, the trieme ships, you know, with the long point at the end that they would like, you know, run up and smash into other boats. Like that's the type of boat that you have, and those are the other types of boats that you're trying to fight. So you can have like water combat or, you know, naval combat and shoot your arrows and upgrade your ship to get like fire arrows and stuff like that. And then if you weaken that ship enough, then you can board that enemy ship, and then you have a battle on top of that ship. So your ship comes up to theirs that's slowly sinking, and then you jump off your...
I'd be a pirate so goddamn
It's
fast.
so fun, but then at the same time...
Sea of Thieves is like, shit!
If you piss off enough people by ramming their boats and destroying boats and whatnot, you get a higher mercenary rating or level, you know? And, dude, I have to tell you, like, those mercenaries that own boats and that are on those seas, they're tough. They really are. So... I've had 3 mercenary
pirates,
ships.
after all.
3 mercenary ships like circle me, and man, they fucked me up good. So
I'm assuming this is before the time of cannons, yeah? So there's no cannons?
yeah, no cannons. So it is literally Spartan 300. You know, your spears, your archers, you know, flaming bows, type of stuff.
Can you upgrade your ship, or like can you like put more armor on it, or like stock it with spears and all that, or how?
Yeah, you can increase your health. You can increase your ramming speed and everything. You can increase, I think, your archer damage. You can increase the fire that you have on there, and the fire damage. Yeah, so you can upgrade a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
It gets progressively more expensive the more you do it, and you need special items to be able to get high level stuff. So
Yeah, that's like a whole another game in itself, like within
inside the hub world. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
That reminds me of Kingdom Hearts. Remember how on Kingdom Hearts 1 you had like a little spaceship, and like you went through and did like Star Fox 64-esque?
Yeah.
That's what it kind of reminds me of. That's cool. I'd probably do that the whole game because I hate Assassin's Creed.
It reminds me of Mass Effect, because you could do the same thing. Like you could actually get like characters on board your ship, and then they have different specialties. Like you have the like a war chief, or like a doctor, stuff like that.
Yeah. And not to mention, you even have skins too that you can eventually get. I haven't gotten any skins, but you can get like you can paint your ship different colors and get different like types of sails and stuff like that. So when I found out that there was like a naval aspect to this game, I was like, holy crap! That's all I want to do is I just want to sit there and just ram other ships and pillage other ships and have sea battles. Because when you take over another ship, you get to loot it. So you get a whole bunch of gear and experience for killing the ship, and then your ship repairs for every successful ship that you sink.
Just like real life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
have you ever played Sea of Thieves, Mike?
I have played Sea of Thieves. I honestly was not too much of a fan.
Yeah.
Like I enjoyed the mechanics of it, but the bigger the boat you had, you really needed a team of people to sail it.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed is you just command it and you just say where you want to go. You don't have to run and throw down your sails, and you don't have to go down and grab your cannons,
right.
and whatnot. So
it's autopilot. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're still controlling your ship, right? You're still controlling your ship.
GPS coordinates.
And you still have to like
before the birth of Jesus.
Yeah. There are a lot of complicated mechanics into it, though. I mean, you still have to steer the ship, speed up the ship, and also at the same time, with your triggers, select whether you want to launch your arrows or your javelins, or your spears.
Yeah.
And it's all like directional. So you have like a big giant arrow, and you at the same time as you're steering that ship, you use your right stick to rotate where those arrows are going, and then you move that stick up and down to change the distance at the same time. So as you're like steering the ship with your left stick, speeding up and down with A, and then you have to hold left trigger to get your archers, and then you have to move your right stick to play, to place where you want those arrows to go, and then you have to pull the left trigger or pull the left trigger and then release it to launch a volley of arrows. So there still is a lot of complicated trigger mechanics, especially when you're trying to fight 2 to 3 ships at the same time.
Yeah, so you're doing like macro managing the ship, and
yeah,
they kind of do the physical actions themselves.
Yeah,
like,
you have your crew, and you're like, go faster, and then you have all the slaves underneath just like rowing super super fast. Kind of like
so
you guys.
You are the ship, essentially.
Yeah. Once you get there, and then once you dock the other ship, you have to uncommand your ship. Then you can free run your ship, and then you have to hop to the other ship, and then your assassin just doing a ship battle. Mm-hmm. So. But no, that's it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, but it's so addicting.
Assassin's Creed 4, that was the first pirate game they did, and everybody loved the naval battles in that. So yeah, I saw that they got so much good feedback with that. They definitely leaned heavy into it with these newer games. So that's cool.
That's good.
Sounds
Yeah,
like a lot of fun.
I didn't play the pirate one. So anyway, well, it sounds like we all had interesting weeks, pretty fun filled weeks. But what would you guys say is your favorite all-time movie or movies?
Here we go.
Chris?
Yeah. No, I don't want to go first.
All right.
Sandwich me in the middle, because I'm going to be pretty boring.
Ricky, you
yeah,
go.
I could tell you. All right, so my favorite movie, which it's really, we could say it's a trilogy, but it's really just one really long movie.
Don't say it.
Lord of the Rings.
God damn it.
Knew it. Actually, I was thinking Star Wars. I honestly thought you were going to say Star Wars.
Star Wars.
It's a trilogy.
Yeah, it's like a trilogy of trilogies.
I'll bite. Why?
I don't know. I guess I really like the medieval setting of it. I suppose I never really had seen any like I guess like fantasy realms like that, like elves and magic and trolls and all that kind of stuff before. But I don't know, just the fact that just like the normal person, you're talking about, I guess, Frodo, just your normal everyday citizen is the one that ended up being the one that had the power to save the entire world, even though he was struggling the entire way. You know, he stuck with it and was able to pull it off, because I guess the courage that he had throughout the whole journey kind of inspired other people to help him out. And I don't know, I really loved, I mean, that in itself, the story is kind of cool, but the cinematography itself, the soundtrack was amazing. The acting was like nothing I'd seen before. The set pieces and the battles and all these different like monsters that you see, like the Wraith Riders in the first one, like the Black Riders with the hoods and those like badass looking black horses and armor and stuff. Like, yeah. I don't know, that was such a huge journey. And I was so into it. I think that movie kind of came out for me at the perfect time in my life, because I was kind of a young, impressionable kid at the time, and you know, you see these badass looking, people in armor, stabbing orcs in the face and whatnot. I don't know. It's just a very good overarching.
But you never got interested in like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that.
Yeah,
right?
I'm not a nerd.
Oh yeah.
No, I kind of made it a conscious effort to not really get into those things, because the kids that I would see in school that were into it, I was like, yeah, I don't, nah. I mean, I like nerdy stuff, but nah.
You ain't that nerdy,
I'm not that nerdy. Like, come on.
I never watched Lord of the Rings, and I feel like I missed a lot of fun not playing like Dungeons and Dragons, because I never got involved in that. I think that'd be fun, but.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way too. Now that I'm older, I do kind of feel the same way. I feel like if I would have just kind of let it go and give it a try, I feel like I would have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I have to say, unfortunately, Lord of the Rings, my experience is I'm a 50-50 on it, man. Like, I enjoyed it, but my first experience of Lord of the Rings, when we first were allowed to watch it, was we got the VHS Lord of the Rings director's cut.
God, like 9 hours of
and I
set a couple days aside on
exactly, and I thought, I didn't know there was a difference. Now I'm a kid, I didn't know, and I told my mom, like, oh yeah, because I think she got it at a Goodwill or a thrift shop, and I didn't know at the time there was a difference between like your movie released, movies, and your director's cut. So holy crap. Those VHS tapes were like probably like 6 pounds a piece. And watching it took us so long. So watching Lord of the Rings for me was painful and most of the story I just zoned out on, except for the battles. I love the battle, like especially the battles of Helm's Deep. That one's always stayed in my mind. Love
Classic.
the Battle of Helm's Deep, and I always loved learning about how, like the flashbacks of the wars and how the ring was created, and the battles that took place there with, like, I guess your, like, legendary knights or whatever they were, that were.
Yeah, I really like the world building was so intriguing to me. Like you were kind of talking about there, but yeah, like this guy's father was the one that cut off the ring, and then he took it for himself, and then he got corrupted, and the ring separated itself from him. I don't know, just it's such a rich history of the world and learning like everything about it, like geographically speaking, and the different lineages that were in the world. I don't know, it's just a very intriguing world.
My wife calls me a dork all the time for the various dorky things that I like, and then she'll watch The Lord of the Rings and sit there and try to tell me about it, and I was like, you're so dorky right now.
Yeah, it's very dorky, but it's awesome. It's really good.
One day, maybe I will watch them. I don't know, man.
I don't think
I've got them on DVD and Blu-ray, director's cut, ready to go.
Don't do the director's cut. Because I've watched the director's cut, I won't go back, or at least I have not gone back and watched just the normal Lord of the Rings.
I don't like watching movies. They just take too long, and then you're gonna tell me that I have to spend an entire workday watching a movie. I'll die. I just can't sit there for that long, man.
I mean,
I need to do something.
They're no lie. Like the director's cut is no lie. Like 3 hours. But I had never actually seen the director's cut until it was actually Amanda's dad got it for Christmas for me a couple years back, and I'd never actually seen it. But there's like a lot of like deleted or like extended scenes that are in it that kind of flesh out the story a little bit more. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty much the same as the theatrical release. You're not really missing a whole lot, honestly.
Perfect. Well, now I don't need to watch them, so I'm perfect. I've already seen the director's cut. I don't need to watch the theatrical release. I'm good.
You could read the books though. The books are actually really good.
No.
I would probably be more inclined to read the books.
I got those too.
Because I don't know if you guys have ever read the Eragon series. The movie was horrible, but that's like right around that time frame where Lord of the Rings was out. I was reading those, and like I kind of the same way you were, Ricky. Like I got really lost in those books. They're just so good. Those are great. We're not talking about
the
books,
dragon book, Eragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
I read the first book.
There's 4 books. They are so good. But like I think it was probably because I was reading those at the time. Like Lord of the Rings was coming out, and I was just like,
rip off.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know which one came first, but I was a dumb little kid when those came out, so who knows?
See, I can watch movies, but I can't sit there and read a book. Chris, I'm the same way with you as you when it comes to movies. I'm the same way with books. I can't sit down and read a book without getting like 2 pages in and being like, I'm wasting my life. I need to go do something.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a book, I feel like I'm more engaged, and I can also listen to music while I'm reading the book that like is like in the mood of the book, which I like doing.
Not me. I'll be listening to the music, then as I'm reading the book, then I'm halfway down the page, I'm like, wait, what did I just read? I had to go back and start all over again.
I'm the same way, and that's why it pisses me off so much. I'll read, like, I'll get 6 pages in and be like, what? And I'll have to flip a couple pages back, and then I'll reread it. And I'm like, I've already read this. And then I'm just like, okay, now I'm just reading the same stuff over again, and I enjoy reading certain books, but
I think for me, I'm kind of the same. Like, I cannot just pick up a random book and then just read it from cover to cover. It's got to be something that I'm interested in, and I've got to strike while the iron's hot, because once I'm uninterested, I'm not. I don't care. I'm not reading it. Sometimes I'm more into fiction, and then I've also read, like self-help books, like personal finance books, like real estate investing is something I was interested in. So, like I said, like I got to strike while that iron's hot, because otherwise it ain't happening. I'm not reading a book. Sorry,
man. Like I know we're not talking about books, but like while we're on that topic, I used to carry a copy of Dante's Inferno in my backpack everywhere, and like I read that book. God, I probably read that book like 20 or 30 times. Just if I had free time, I'd go through and read it. So,
the game was way better.
Not, maybe.
Ricky, do you have a favorite TV show now, since you've already talked about your favorite movie?
Favorite TV show, hands down, Dragon Ball Z.
Knew it. I knew it.
Absolutely love some DBZ.
You love those Dragon Balls, huh?
Yes, sir. Let me hold all 7 of them real quick. Make a wish.
Goodness. That don't sound right. So I know there's a whole lot of Dragon Ball Z spinoffs. There's the ones that were out when we were kids, which I don't think that was the original. There's been a lot. So like, which one? Like, I've tried to go through and watch them, but like, I don't know where to start or what's even worth watching.
So the original is Dragon Ball. I to this day have not sat down and watched the entirety of Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z is my personal favorite, and that's
the one that was out when we were kids.
Yeah, well, I guess Dragon Ball was as well. But okay, so canonically speaking, first, as far as the whole overarching Dragon Ball story goes, you have Dragon Ball, which is when Goku is a kid. Then you have DBZ, or Dragon Ball Z, which is when Goku is an adult and he has a son, which is Gohan. Used to be Dragon Ball GT, but that has since been axed from canon. And that was, I guess, just post DBZ. That was kind of its own weird thing. Had awesome parts, but mostly not. And then now we have Dragon Ball Super, which is the one that they are doing currently. So, and then along that line, there's all kinds of movies. There's, there was 13 DBZ movies, and then they've made like 3 new ones. Then there's Dragon Ball movies, GT movies. So there's a whole lot of stuff. But for me, definitely by far, Dragon Ball Z is head and shoulders above the rest of the series.
Now, is that the one where is like Goku, the dad, or the father figure? Is it Gohan the son? I've seen it. Gohan but I get them mixed up.
Yeah, Gohan is the son of Goku, and that is pretty much where that's really what kind of separates Z from Dragon Ball. That's the picking up point for Dragon Ball Z is when Gohan.
So Dragon Ball Z is the one where there's like 40 episodes where Goku is on a floating rainbow, lost in some sort of universe.
It's a Nimbus cloud named Nimbus, but all right. Actually,
Ricky's worried he's gonna look like a nerd with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, actually.
No, yeah, I'm all about some DBZ up to a certain point. So they have different seasons. They call them sagas. There's the Saiyan saga, which is where Goku fights Vegeta, and there's this really cool, interesting thing where if you just start with Z, it's not really that big of a mind blow. But you grow up with Goku, I guess, as far as the story goes, and for whatever reason, he's inexplicably strong. He has a tail, and anytime he looks at the full moon, he turns into a giant hulking gorilla that can shoot laser beams out of his mouth and eyes, and just basically he turns into a giant werewolf that destroys everything, and he has no self-control. And it's never really explained why, other than like, wow, that was weird. Moving on. So, but when Dragon Ball Z comes around, when Gohan is born, he also has a tail. And this guy from outer space shows up, and he also has a tail. And he claims that he's Goku's brother.
It's over 9,000.
That's the pickle guy, yeah.
I hate this place right now. No. Over 9,000.
I was going to watch Dragon Ball Z. It came on Hulu, I think, like a year ago, and we were going to go through and watch it. I calculated how long it would take by how many episodes there were and runtime. It was going to take something like a year or two if I did nothing but watch it to finish it. I can't commit to that.
Yeah, I mean, like with any other anime, there is quite a bit of filler. I'm sure you could look up a list of like episodes that you would need to watch, but there is definitely some filler in Z. And I also would recommend watching it up until the end of the Cell Saga. That's really for me where the show peaked, and then after that is the Majin Buu saga, which is, I don't know if you've seen the fat pink guy that he can like zap people and turn them into chocolate, and then when he eats them, he absorbs their powers and he changes forms and whatnot.
You mean Patrick Star?
Yeah, so that's Majin Buu, and yeah, the show just kind of goes off the rails at that point. It doesn't really know what it's trying to do, and I've seen some some things where apparently the creator of the show and the manga as well, I suppose, is his name's Akira Toriyama, and he wanted to end the show at the Cell Saga, and I think he even wanted to actually end it before that, but because the show was so popular, he just basically came up with some more stories, or the manga was so popular at the time, one of those. But he wanted to end the show, but because it was so popular, he did it for a whole another arc, and then did another arc after that, and you can just tell the wind was kind of out of the sails, wasn't coming up with as fresh ideas there towards the end. I don't like the ending of it personally, but yeah, just stop at the Cell Saga would definitely be my recommendation, because it's like, damn, that was really good. That was a good show.
How many months of anime is that to get to the Cell Saga?
I mean, if you really get into it, I mean, you could easily do it in a month. But I don't know. It just depends on how much free time you have and how much you're really into it. But it's a great show. I don't typically even like anime, so I mean,
I'm fairly certain that's a lie.
Most anime I don't like, I would say, but I don't know. It's growing on me. But I don't know. It's got everything. It's got martial arts. It's funny. It's got really emotional scenes in it. It's also got sci-fi elements to it.
Yeah, I was about to say martial arts has lasers, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's literally. I mean, they're fighting people in outer space who are aliens and androids. It's awesome. It's got everything. Dragon Ball Z. If you ever never seen it, check it out. Watch it. That's my favorite.
Chris, what are your favorite movies and TV shows?
Well, as we already discussed, I don't really watch a lot of TV or movies. I'm not like one of those hippie people or hipsters where I'm like, I don't watch TV because it's rotting my brain. I can't sit still long enough. But I was trying to think of like what would be a movie that if it came on, I wouldn't go out of my way to turn it off. And there's one movie that strikes me that way that like if I just don't know what to watch, I'll put it on, and that is Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good movie.
So I played the game back in the day, but I love editing. Like editing video, editing the audio for the podcast. Like I just love editing, and like the editing in that movie is so well done. Like the scene changes, the sound effects for the video games in the background, like the little like cartoon images that show up like over the people's heads. The editing is so good in that movie that it's engaging. I don't know if I could exactly tell you precisely what the plot is because I'm always watching the editing so closely. I love it. It's like on a whimsical, nerdy level, and if you're not like us, you haven't played classic games or whatever, you don't know that culture, like you probably wouldn't get it. It wouldn't be as fun. But for me, I absolutely love that movie.
Yeah, I think I'm the same way. Like I love Scott Pilgrim. I'm kind of the same way. Like if I'm scrolling through Netflix or something, I'd be like, oh shit, yeah, dude, Scott Pilgrim. Let me watch that again because because I'm such a big video game fan. I love that movie for that because it hits, I guess, our generation like perfectly. It's
right.
Like I mean, you're talking about the editing and even like the comedy in the movie as well. Like the comedic timing that they do with the edits in that movie as well is spot on. But yeah, Amanda, my girlfriend, like I was telling her, like, don't you love this movie? Because I would put it on for us to watch it, and she is just zoned out, just doesn't get it.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. My wife thought it was funny, but like just like you said, like I don't know, she didn't play video games growing up, so she just doesn't quite get it. Like she thinks like the gags are funny, but like I'm like, oh, that little sound bit's from Legend of Zelda, so that's funny,
right?
But like she doesn't know that. So
believe it or not, I'll confess, it wasn't until I believe earlier this year or end of last year that I actually saw the movie. Really? My wife Brandy, she was like, you got to watch this movie, and I'm like, I don't think I've seen it, and she played it, and it was Scott Pilgrim. And I thought it was great. Now, yeah, I didn't understand all the noises, and I can't pinpoint exactly which one goes to what game. I knew some of them. But, yeah, I thought the editing, I thought the way they shot it was amazing. The comedy that's just my type of comedy. It's just, like, really off-the-cuff, just weird, just like, wait, what? And they're like, oh, shoot, like, comedy. I thought it was great, and I have to confess, I had to Google it, but the one who plays Ramona Flowers,
Yeah.
That one. That
I would
chick.
know the actress's name.
Yeah, the actress's name is Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but she was a long time ago one of my like celebrity or actress crushes. So when I like saw her in it, I was just like, oh, you're in this movie. All of a sudden, I like this movie.
What's this movie called again?
Yeah, I'm just gonna save this one for later.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was a great movie. I really did.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, for video game nerds and like anime nerds, like that is like the perfect combination. Like like nerd culture in general. That movie is spot on for it. But
and I think that's why I can watch it. Is like I'm looking. It's almost like playing like Where's Waldo. Like I'm looking for all that stuff, and then like looking at the editing and like they have all the graphics with like the shadows on the ground and stuff. It's like, God damn, that's so good.
Mm-hmm. I love the guy who's got the superpowers because he's a vegan. Like he's basically like a Super Saiyan, and then they.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Milk and eggs, bitch.
Yeah. That's a great movie.
I think I'm gonna have to watch that movie again this weekend.
Yeah, I need to as well. So as far as TV shows, that one's even harder because TV shows are even a longer commitment. You know, sitting down and watching an entire series. You know, I tried to go through and watch Breaking Bad a long time ago, and it's like, dude, I can't, man. It gets so boring. And like everybody with everything, and like Avatar, the movie too. Everybody's like, "Oh man, you gotta wait till the end." I can't do it, man.
Avatar? No, screw that. You're not talking about Avatar the Airbender. You're talking about Avatar the blue people on another planet.
The blue people movie where everybody. When I say I hate Avatar, the first thing people say is, "Did you watch the battle at the end?" No. So TV shows are harder. So there is one TV show again, same as Scott Pilgrim. I can put it on and be like, "This is funny." I can watch it multiple times. I think I've watched that series probably 5 or 6 times. Is Futurama. I love Futurama. It's so funny. The humor's spot on. It's right around our generation, and it's like the future, but the 80s. And like there's so many gags they can do with that. It wasn't until recently I did some research on the show, and a lot of the writing staff, they have like PhDs in physics and maths and stuff. So like all the jokes that are on there are like accurate. Which is even funnier. Like you have a PhD in, nuclear physics, and you're doing that to make throwaway gags on a cartoon show. That's awesome.
Degree well spent.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, but that show, I could put that show on and just watch it. It evolves as it goes on. I mean, season 1's very different than the later seasons or like the movies they do, like Bender's Big Score and stuff. But like, I guess the characters kind of grow with each other. Which is fine, because, I mean, they're spending all the time together. So, like, it evolves, but it doesn't have, like, a consistent storyline. So I could really pick it up at any episode anywhere, and it'd be just as funny. Mm-hmm. But I think it hits that weird nerd niche culture that we're in, which is great.
Yeah, I can't say that I've sat down and binge-watched Futurama. I don't for whatever reason in my head, just the fact that it kind of, I don't know, I guess art style is a very big thing for me. Like if I don't like the art style, then it's really hard for me to sit down and enjoy something. So I guess just for that, because it kind of looks like Simpsons, and I never really was a big Simpsons fan. Yeah. That's always in the back of my head when I'm watching Futurama, and I'm like, I mean, what else is on?
Yeah, I never watched The Simpsons either. And after I watched Futurama, I thought, I'll give The Simpsons a shot because like it's by the same writing team and no, I can't. It's not funny.
Yeah,
it's like Family Guy. I don't like Family Guy either. It's just
Family Guy is a show that like used to be hilarious, and now it's just annoying.
Yeah, I'd like 16 chicken vaginas, please.
It's like I don't know.
Some of their older episodes are really really good, and then it just kind of whatever.
Yeah, but like Simpsons, I couldn't watch that either. And I guess the art style is like you could know they're written by the same people without knowing they're written by the same people. Mm-hmm. If I showed you 5 minutes of clips, you would know.
Yeah, I've had some chuckles with Futurama, but it's always just been because it just happened to be on. I never have really gone out of my way to watch Futurama, really.
But.
Yeah. I think so. I was Googling this, and I just want to make sure it was correct. Yeah, so it looks like it's aired in 1999, right? Yeah, it looks like.
Yep.
On Comedy
Was it
Central.
really?
Yeah. So
because the pilot
wow.
happens in 1999 at the beginning of year 2000. So Fry, the main character, gets frozen on New Year's Eve.
Wow. I don't know why I thought that that was like 05 or 06 when that came out.
Nah, they aired it right when the first episode was supposed to be taking actual place, so like in current time. So
That's cool.
It's pretty.
I remember, so like I do enjoy watching Futurama, but it took me a long time to actually start watching it. I haven't watched all the seasons, but when I was a child, I'd sneak downstairs in the middle of the night and watch Adult Swim when it was on, because I wasn't allowed to watch Adult Swim. And Chris, you know my parents, and so I had to sneak downstairs, and never got to watch that. So I remember watching the first episode of Futurama, and of course being like, let's see, if it released in 1999, I was watching. I don't think I watched the first episode live. I don't think I did, or when it first came out. But I know it was when I was in Virginia. I mean, actually, it might have been Virginia. We were in Virginia probably around like 2000, 99 to 2003, 4, somewhere around there. Anyway, I might have been able to see it. I don't, but I remember watching the first episode, and it was on Comedy Central, or Adult Swim or whatever it was. And it was when he gets sucked up and he meets the what's her name, the one-eyed lady and whatnot, and he gets his first implant, and he's like running away and all that fun stuff. I just didn't get it. And from then on, I was just like, meh, And then as an adult, I went back and watched it, and I'm like, oh, I get that. Oh, yeah. I get that reference. It's some things that, as a child, you're not going to get those references. And then, like Looney Tunes, Looney Tunes was a great show. My dad would watch it with me. Don't know why my dad's watching cartoons, Sunday, right. Saturday morning cartoons. He's laughing his ass off at what Bugs Bunny just said. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, my dad got me into Looney Tunes. Like, dude, like Foghorn Leghorn is probably one of the funniest characters I've ever seen.
As an adult,
that boy, I say that boy is about as sharp as a bowling ball.
Tom and Jerry was for me when I was a kid. I love Tom and Jerry.
Yeah, man.
Tom and Jerry was great. But yeah, the comedy on Futurama, I think it is more kind of 80s. So like there's still some references in there that I don't get because I'm a 90s kid. So, but as my like, I guess, experiences grow, there's more and more stuff that I find funny, and I think I understand jokes more each time I watch it because like I didn't know who a certain artist was they were making fun of, and it's like, oh yeah, I get that now.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing with my TV shows. I've watched the same show over and over and over again, and there's all
right, Mike. So
I might as well go with me. I was just thinking because there was an episode in The Office, which is my favorite TV show, and it probably took me like 3 years to get it.
Just crazy.
Yeah, I know. And Michael's talking to Ryan on the phone, and it's when Michael hits Meredith with the car. And Michael says something like, he's like, oh, it's like double jeopardy. She had rabies and she got hit by a car, so she needed to go to the hospital. Like double jeopardy. And then Ryan says, I don't think you know how jeopardy works. And he goes, what is? And then he says what it is. It took me a long time to realize what he said there, and it clicked back probably like years later. I'm like, oh, yeah, what is? And then on the Jeopardy host, he answers the question. But I'm like, right. But I watched that show so much, and I didn't even pick up on those references, and that's why I like The Office, because I can watch it over and over and over again. There's something I missed, and I'm like, oh my god, how did I not see that the first time? But anyway, we already know my favorite TV show. My favorite TV show is The Office, but it's a close first because I love Scrubs and South Park.
South Park I can get.
Yeah.
Scrubs.
And, so I mean it was because so my dad would fall asleep every single night to MASH, and he would watch MASH all the time. God. So I always knew when to sneak downstairs because my dad would turn out like a light. The minute he plugged in his MASH VHS player or VHS,
so he was literally watching the same episode every night.
He would play, or it might have been on DVD, whatever. But yeah, he would plug it, MASH in, and you would hear do 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 do. I have it stuck in my head because of how much he's watched it. Okay, I could probably hum that whole entire intro. And helicopters flying in, blah 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 blah. I know MASH. Okay, but anyway, so whenever MASH came on, my dad would knock out like a light, and then I could sneak down the stairs, which the stairs were right next to the master bedroom. So knew Dad was out. Anyway, so I never thought I'd be that guy, but I'm that guy with The Office. I've got The Office ripped to audio, so I don't have the video playing, so I can just play it on my phone. I can have like the audio of The Office, and I just fall asleep to it. If I don't know what to watch, I'll probably just play The Office in the background. I have honestly watched The Office from season 1 through season 9 to the end, probably like 100 times. I shit you not. It is always playing, and I've seen it so much. Like when I get done with season 9 or the last season, I'm like, and disc 1. Now I've got it all digital now, but
some
so
sort of like childhood trauma there you're trying to mask.
Yeah, I don't know, but at first, I mean, believe it or not, at first I originally hated The Office. I didn't watch it as it aired. I watched like the first season. I was like, this is dumb. And I was just like, this is like stupid. And it took me until I think like season 4 came out and was airing for me to actually want to watch it. And I kind of followed it loosely. And it wasn't until like, I think it was like season 8 and 9 that I actually really started watching it. And I watched the season finale live and all that fun stuff and was excited about it. But yeah, I originally hated The Office, couldn't watch it. Everybody was like, oh, watch this show. And I'm like, go fuck yourself. I don't care. I hated it. And now it's like my favorite show. And I quote it all the time. Every once in a while I'll have a conversation with somebody and I'll be like, all the alarm bells are going ring-a-ding-a-ding-a, and they'll be like, what? And I'm like, never mind, you didn't get that. It's from The Office,
I don't think I understand or like dry humor, and that is The Office.
Yeah, and dry humor is my favorite, and I love making off the cuff comments, and unfortunately I say things that I shouldn't say a lot, but it also goes with my sense of humor, where it's just nothing's, and that's why I like South Park. Nothing is. I truly believe that nothing is off limits. If you can't make fun of yourself or or anything else, then that's the whole entire point of comedy. Is to make light of things that are serious.
Yeah.
So
there was one episode of South Park where they make fun of the comedy awards, and that is probably the quintessential cap of South Park in my brain.
Is that the one with Timmy when Timmy's leading it? The
there's like some robot that's like judging the comedy awards.
The robot, yeah.
And they're like
funny bot. Yeah.
Like, how can you take this seriously if you're not supposed to be taking it seriously?
Yeah.
See, Chris, I'm actually kind of surprised to hear you say you don't like dry humor. I feel like that's like your go-to.
I mean, dry humor, like we used to watch Balloon Shop, like that kind of dry humor's just goddamn hilarious.
Just nonsensical. I don't know, random dry humor.
I think I don't like a lot of the actors on The Office.
So, for me, I think it's the fan base that kind of ruins it for me. Like, I feel like if I were to watch it, which I've seen an episode or two here and there, if it happened to be on, I've never gone out of my way to watch it, but I don't know. It's held on such a pedestal by the fan base. It's just like, okay, I get it. It's hilarious. Yes. All right. I get it.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. Ha ha ha. Keep it to yourself.
If it wasn't so much pressure, you don't like The Office? What do you? How is this a? What do you mean?
Hyperventilating. Pull out my inhaler.
Hear the keyboard just ticky-tacking in the background as quickly as possible.
You wouldn't believe this.
Yeah, because I've seen the memes, and I've definitely laughed from The Office, but I don't... Is it a show that I would sit down and watch the entire thing 100 times? Maybe not, but...
Yeah, this is my go-to. And then favorite movie, okay. Have you guys seen Blast from the Past?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a movie, it's got Brendan Fraser in it. He's the you don't know Brendan Fraser?
The guy from The Mummy, Looney Tunes.
Yes, Mummy, Looney Tunes.
He's Journey to the Center of the Earth. Literally nothing else. Bedazzled. He was in Bedazzled.
Yep, he wasn't
No.
bedazzled. Okay,
No.
so it's got Brendan Fraser, it's got Alicia Silverstone, and Christopher Walken in it.
I know Christopher Walken is.
Yeah, maybe more cowbell. Yeah, so it's set in the 1960s, I believe. Yeah, 1960s. And that is like my favorite time zone, or not time zone, timeline, timepiece.
I love Central Time Zone.
Yep, Central Time Zone's the best. It's one of my 1960s. I absolutely love the style of it. For those who are listeners, you guys can't see what my office looks like, but Chris and Ricky can. But the mid-century modern, the seafoam blue, that's on my wall. The fallout, the nuclear, the nuclear shelters. I mean, that was big during the Cuban Missile Crisis, so everybody wanted to have a bomb shelter. I absolutely love everything about that. The furniture styles, because we can kind of go on a side topic, but the furniture back then, it was made out of metal and some nice pieces of wood, but all these intricate designs in their cars were all fashioned out of metal. It was all metalwork.
You stub your toe, you lose your toe.
Yeah, cars that were built like tanks. You could run it into a pole, and you'd break the pole, not the car. Now, yeah, you might break your neck because it didn't have all your safety features, but whatever. All right, at least you die like men, right? No seatbelts. So, to be able to create things like that, that's what I absolutely loved. But anyway, so they're having a party, and the president is speaking. They're all watching this at their dinner party, and Christopher Walken sends everybody home, and he's like, "Go home, blah 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 blah." Like he's like crazy, conspiracy theorist, the world's gonna end type of person. He's got a bomb shelter underneath his house, and he kicks everybody out of his house with this party. He's like, we're going down to this bomb shelter, and a plane crashes on top of his house when they're going down to the bomb shelter. So they believe, him and his wife believe, that it's an actual bomb that exploded. I think it was like Los Angeles or something like that. Yeah, Los Angeles. And so then they spend like the next 35 years in their bomb shelter. And of course, at that time, his wife was pregnant with Brendan Fraser, the kid, Adam. He's called Adam.
Like actually?
No. Adam Weber is the name of the child, but it's played by Brendan Fraser. And so he grows up in this bomb shelter, and then after the gates open up after 35 years, because that's like the time it takes for nuclear radiation to die, the story is about him experiencing life outside of the bomb shelter. And it's like absolutely hilarious. So you see the time that progresses, and then so he brings his parents and realizes it wasn't actually a bomb, blah 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 blah, and it's a absolutely hilarious movie. He finds his wife and all that fun stuff up there. I absolutely love it, but it's all set in that 1960s Art Deco, mid-century modern era. So I'm just like all about it, like.
That kind of reminds me. There's a Twilight Zone episode, sort of similar to that. There's a couple throwing a party, and there's a threat of nuclear annihilation, and the people who are throwing the party have a bomb shelter in their basement, and like everybody's freaking out, and they go down to their bomb shelter, and like all their family and friends turn against them, trying to get into the bomb shelter to the point that they destroyed the bomb shelter. And then it kind of takes a War of the Worlds sort of turn where they're like, yeah, that was just a test. Just kidding. And like, they're all like, well, we said we're going to kill each other, and now we're not going to kill each other. Love the Twilight Zone, man.
Never watched it. Never watched it.
Yeah, that is actually a really, really cool show. Some of the stuff they pulled off back then is really, really incredible. It holds up actually surprisingly well as well, too.
It does. Like, I still watch that, and again, I love editing, and like watching how they did effects back then. Like, if you wanted something, it had to happen in real life. That was it. So like, some of the stuff they had to do to make that stuff happen on the show, pretty impressive.
Yeah,
but that's right around that same time era that you're talking about, Mike. And yeah, I'm right there with you. I love that era.
Yeah. So I know we talked about it earlier, but do we have a general consensus on what our most hated movie is?
General consensus, no. I can tell you what my least favorite movie is.
Go, Chris. Tell us what your least favorite movie is.
So I had never watched any of the Predator or Alien movies until my wife came along, and we watched all of them. They were fine, I guess, until we got to Predators, which is, I think, the most recent one in the saga.
The Predator.
And it's about this guy and his stupid kid. Dude, like, we watched that movie. I kid you not. I felt offended at the end of the movie how bad it was. I was going to write the director of the movie and tell him that I was offended with how bad that movie was.
I think I've seen it, but can you give me a quick summary on what that was about? That didn't have anything to do with, like, they were fighting in their hometown, was it?
Yes.
It was
There's
that
a
one?
father. Yes. There's a father who's in some form of military. His son, I don't know if he had like some sort of learning disability or like higher understanding or whatever, but like he's really good at gadgets, but he's not very good at like social interactions. I think I'm trying to remember, but like he finds a Predator helmet, and by playing with the Predator helmet, he summons the ship, and then they come down, and there's a Predator hunting a Predator, and then this dumb guy with his dumb friends try to kill the Predator. Holy God!
Yep. I'm pretty sure I saw that one, and I hated that one too.
I would sooner drink bleach than watch that movie. I hated that movie. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, writing my congressman is something I would never do, but I would write the director of that movie to let them know that's not good. You did a bad job. Bad boy. I think of the scene from Family Guy where Stewie gets on the plane and flies out to Will Ferrell's house and hits him with a bat, and he's like, "That's not funny."
Yeah. Ricky, what's your most hated movie?
Oh man, I don't know. I honestly, you may have to come back to me because I don't have one.
Don't you do it, Mike?
I'm gonna do it.
Don't you hurt me?
What do you mean, don't hurt you?
Okay.
Don't hurt me. Don't you do it either, Ricky.
I'm going to say for me, and if some of my closest friends are actually listening to this podcast, they know this answer, Midsummer.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay.
It's not horrible.
I hate Hereditary and Midsummer equally. One, because they're both predictable for me. I hate horror movies because, one, they're just so predictable. It's the same thing over and over and over again, just in a different setting. It's in a cabin in the woods. It's in, a cabin on a lakeside. It's in a hotel, or it's in an abandoned mine shaft, or something stupid. Like, oh yeah, like, let's go down this abandoned mine shaft, where people apparently die. What could happen? Ho ho ho. But with Hereditary and Midsummer, like, one, Hereditary, I knew the girl was gonna like die or pretty much die, right? Because she's hanging her head out the window, blah, blah, or she's doing something weird, and they focus on the stupid telephone pole, right? And I whisper over to my wife when we were watching it, I was like, she's going to die, she's going to hit her head on the pole. That was on their way to the party, right? And then she's like, shut up,
Mike
stop being
leans
a
over
spoiler.
to Brandy and goes, heads up.
Exactly, right? And then that party scene happens, and then she's like, choking on something, and then she's like sticking her head out the window, blah, 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 trying to grasp for air, and, spoiler alert, I'm sorry. But, and I was just like, and I stood up and I'm like, told ya, predictable as fuck, because, like, it's just, and at the ending, the ending threw me off because I didn't expect the ending of all the, God, I don't know what it is with this writer. Naked old people, really? Like, you just have to have naked old people? Like, is that's...
If you ever played that game as a kid where one person tells somebody something and the other person tells it, and like by the end you have a completely different story, that is exactly how I felt with that movie. Like 10 people wrote the movie and they sat down in a room and were like, how do we get all this shit to fit together?
Yeah. But and then Midsummer was so predictable as well. Midsummer, they go off on this adventure. I can't remember what the reason was. It was like college adventure or something like that. And it's
like every horror movie.
Yep, and then they go play with the, whatever these people are who live in this, cult, in the middle of the woods and whatnot. And so you start seeing like all the signs and whatnot. I'm like, oh, so they're gonna get him to sleep with a redhead, and they're going to get him to basically fall in love with her by using her hormones from her, down under, and, hair and all that fun stuff, and then they're going to do this. And then we watched like a 4-hour sex scene. Graphic sex scene. And now, we watched that movie with my friend Joey, and Joey, if you're listening, he knows how much I hate this movie. Because we watched it in the theaters, and I can't tell you, it's like, maybe it's only like a 4-minute sex scene, but it is a graphic sex scene in this movie that is like 4 minutes long with like 12 naked people, old naked people, just like in the Hereditary at the end of that one, chanting and helping these two people have sex. And my God, being in that movie theater, you could hear a pin drop. Everybody was just like,
you see everybody pull out their phones.
Dude, I mean, and then people were just like, like everybody was like, when people started talking, it became so uncomfortable that people laughed. It was so uncomfortable in the theaters. But I knew what was going to happen, and I was like, oh, he's going to get sacrificed, and they're going to burn him alive before it even happened. Like, he's not going to make it out of there. They're not going to, like, blah, 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 and she's going to become blah. Like, I could see it happening, and so I hated those movies because it was predictable and fucking weird. Now, my buddy Joey, who took us to this movie, he was like, this is the greatest movie of all, like, existence. And I just don't get it. So anyway, those two movies, I hate them. I talk shit every minute that anybody ever brings up those movies. I'm just like, hold on, fuck you, fuck that movie, fuck that writer, fuck everything. I'm just
No,
and this is why we are explicit.
So Ari Aster is the director of both of those movies. And I'm not gonna lie, I actually, the first time that I watched both of those movies, I thought the same thing. I was like, this guy is a visionary. He's doing something different, something unique. I've never seen a movie like either of these movies before. And I typically really like horror movies as long as they have a good story to them.
Same.
I don't know. I tend to like the more like depressing and sad aspects of it as well. I don't know. It just feels more real to me that way. And the way that they kind of tie that in, like there's a lot of like imagery and personification that they do in horror that works kind of perfect for that. And I really like horror movies for that. But yeah, they're so weird and they were so unique. But I've watched Hereditary. I've probably watched 4 or 5 times now. And it's like every time that I watch it, I start to like it less and less and less. It's almost like it's good for, I don't know. It's good for the shock value, I would say, because I didn't honestly find them very predictable. I didn't really know what was going to happen, especially the ending to Hereditary. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, the ending of Hereditary did kind of like throw me for a loop. But if I remember right, wasn't Hereditary where like the first like 10 minutes of the movie was like dead silence?
Right. And I don't know. It's setting a mood, I guess.
Yeah, what, depression?
Yeah, exactly. I would honestly say if you like or you want to see like a unique and weird movie, I think they're at least worth a watch to see if it is something that you like or not. They're definitely polarizing, that's for sure. Like you're either gonna love it or you're gonna fucking hate it.
Yeah. Just note to everybody
I like
listening,
it for that.
Don't watch it with your parents. Do not.
Oh yeah,
do not watch
not.
it with your parents.
Good
No.
by yourself with all the lights off, or if you really want to get into it, or maybe like a date night movie or something.
Ricky showed me those movies, and we sat outside in the dark, in the middle of the woods with a projector screen. That was a pretty good setting for the movie.
The sound was kind of shitty, though.
It was horrible.
To be fair.
It was horrible. I couldn't hear anything, but
And that's the biggest part of it. That's another really big part of horror movies is sound design as well. But I would honestly say check them out. But yeah, you might hate it. Be forewarned.
Let us
Just ask
know.
Mike.
Follow us on Twitter and let us know if you love those movies or you hate those movies. Because well, if you love
Let us
it,
know.
then yeah.
let us know if you're right or you're wrong.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so for me, I've come up with mine. So my least favorite movie that I hate watching is called Halo 5 Nightfall.
What an odd movie for you not to like.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and I honestly, like, of course, you guys know I'm a huge Halo fan, and I don't honestly think you're not really a true Halo fan if you don't hate Halo. Like, if you don't hate Halo, you're not a Halo fan. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Wait. Yeah,
Yes,
I hate
it
Halo.
does.
Does that mean I like it?
Yes.
I hate Halo too.
Yeah, you have to. I don't know. You have to love it so much that you just start to hate it. Okay, so Halo 5. Okay, so Nightfall is pretty much just like a prequel of sorts, like a promotional movie for Halo 5 before it came out. Kind of gets you, introduces you to the character, quote unquote, is what this whole movie is supposed to be about. And so they did kind of the same thing for Halo 4. They did a movie that ties into Halo 4 that is called, I love this movie. Why can't I remember? It's called Forward Unto Dawn. And that was actually a great movie, not just a Halo movie, but a great movie. I'd recommend checking that one out too. But Nightfall just totally dropped the ball. And you know, of course, with it being a Halo movie, you can't help but compare it to the previous one. And so this one really just came off as a cheap, straight to DVD, like Sci-Fi Channel movie. Terrible special effects, half-baked story, just the most boring character and actor that you could ask for. It's actually the guy that plays, what is his name? Mike Coulter. He's in one of those Netflix Marvel shows where he's the invincible bar owner. I can't remember what it's called. But anyway, super boring.
Are those written by Bungie?
No.
Or are those like some off studio?
I don't honestly know. I think, well, Bungie doesn't have anything to do with them these days. It's 343 is the one that's kind of taken over. But they do kind of oversee it. Like, they have to okay everything. But I'm not honestly sure who actually wrote the movies. But this one is basically, so there's a Spartan in Halo 5 who is hunting down Master Chief. That's basically his whole, like, story build up. And Halo 5 story is trash anyways. It sounds really cool. It's like a Spartan hunting down the greatest Spartan of all time, and then they just completely drop the ball with the game and this movie. But this is supposed to be the origin story of Spartan Locke is his name. This is before he even becomes a Spartan. He's basically an agent for this universe's CIA. And he's, what is it? They need to go basically track down something from one of the destroyed Halo rings. And I don't know, man. It sucks. Like I was saying, I guess earlier, like, art style is a big thing. And it just looks like shit. The 3D animation is awful. What else is there? Oh, they also have these, like, props, these props for the weapons that are, like, straight out of the video games, which in the video games it looks fine, but when you have this person that's holding like a 6-foot long DMR, it just looks like a toy. It looks so stupid. I don't know. Like I said, it's straight to DVD, like B movie sci-fi. I hate it. It's awful. That's my very scattered-brained description of it, but yeah. Sucks.
Yeah, saying since I've never heard of it before, I'm probably going to say it probably does suck, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's very bad.
So, of course, the best movie any of us have ever seen.
The best movie. Hands down.
Best movie.
Number one. The
Should
best.
watch.
Llama Geddon.
Indeed.
Where did we watch that one? Amazon Prime? Was it Amazon Prime?
Amazon
It was
Prime.
Amazon Prime. Yep.
Okay.
So I recently got married this year, and all of my good friends got together in Savannah, Georgia. We had an absolute blast, but we decided to have a movie night, and we watched Llamageddon. That was definitely a memorable experience. I don't want to give away too many spoilers to the plot points because it's a roller coaster of emotions. You know, there's love, there's hate, there's llamas.
There's llamas. We can probably give this slight spoiler. There's space llamas, which make them even better than just normal llamas.
Yes.
They're here to destroy us all.
Who knows why? You need a small amount of alcohol in your body and some friends with some good sense of humor to watch this movie. Please don't try to take
it seriously. Who knows why? Why?
Now we kind of we might want to let our listeners kind of know how we fell on that. You know, what, that was the night you guys got married, right? The day you guys got married.
That was the night.
We had been drinking pretty much either before or right after the ceremony, and
which was like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yep, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we were drinking throughout the reception, and we got back to the hotel, and we continued more drinking, and we were playing games, and we just were trying to figure out we should watch a movie, and nobody out of the 9 of us,
It's like 8
right?
of us, yeah.
8 of us out of the 8 of us that were in the room could not sit there and decide on a movie. So our other friendly nerd gamer, Ricky,
Hello.
chose Lamageddon.
And our destinies intertwined.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just go to Amazon Prime, look it up, watch the trailer. You'll know why.
And it is, you'll love it.
The best. You need to check it out.
It's the best, number 1. And since we were talking about Lamageddon, that is actually my recommendation for the week. I just wanted to say that, of course, we are not getting paid to do any of these recommendations, but every single time we recommend something to you guys, it's just something that we love and found as hilarious or fun to play and want to share it to you guys. If you guys want to check out Lamageddon and check it out on Amazon Prime, you won't regret it. Or you might. But let us know yet again on Twitter if you watched it or if you guys already have seen it. But Lamageddon is absolutely hilarious for many reasons, which we will not spoil the movie for you. But thank you for joining us for another episode of the Pixelated Porch Podcast. We are your friendly nerd gamers, Ricky, Chris, and Michael. Later.
This has been the Pixelated Porch Podcast. We are the friendly nerds, Ricky, Chris, and Mike. If you'd like to follow us on social media, check us out on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Just search Pixelated Porch, and also be sure to check out our Discord. We're recording.
Hot mic. Hot diggity mic.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Welcome to another.
Why are you counting it down?
I was counting. I was counting down for myself. But
All right, roll this time.
not counting out loud.